It's fitting that we gather today to celebrate our victory, America's victory, because it was on this day, July 9th in 1868, that we, the people, ratified the 14th Amendment to the Constitution. We won under the Constitution, but of course, the Constitution didn't just fulfill its own promise. It took a movement to do that. So much work, sacrifice, trust, and hope to achieve this transformation, this triumph. No one person alone, no one organization alone, no one state, no one case, no one methodology of social change, no one battle, no one decade alone did this. It took a whole movement to bring us to this victory. It took the Constitution and it took the country, millions of conversations and many battles that changed hearts and minds and helped the American people rise to fairness. And at the same time, this movement was not just a random series of episodes. There was a strategy that we stuck with, and there was a campaign built to drive that strategy, and that campaign was freedom to marry. It was the combination of all of that, America's promise, a decades-long movement, a successful strategy, a tenacious campaign that delivered through slow and steady successes and stumbles, as the president said, justice that came like a thunderbolt. That is indeed something to celebrate. Now, for me and the Freedom to Marry team, a big part of our celebration is saying thank you to the many who have been part of this movement, part of this victory. Please raise your hand if you had a personal conversation that helped persuade someone to support the freedom to marry. Please raise your hand if you helped with digital, online, organizing, door knocking, and all the work of building the majority for marriage. Please raise your hand. Please raise your hand if you gave or raised money to fuel this cause. Please raise your hand if you joined an organization that did important work. Please raise your hand if you spoke out as an ally. Please raise your hand if you step forward as a plaintiff or a lawyer in marriage litigation. Please raise your hand if you worked in any of the crucial legislative battles. Please raise your hand if you fought hard in any of the marriage ballot campaigns. Now give yourself a hand because you are how we won. My final thank yous go to the incomparable Freedom to Marry team, past and present. Without these people, this team, we would not be celebrating this victory today. One more word. I told you earlier, when I stood with the Vice President, that I was going to tell you about the second phone call that moved me that day we won. I got a call from a man named Bernie Cohen. Bernie Cohen was one of the two lawyers who argued Loving versus Virginia before the Supreme Court. Bernie congratulated me and us, and of course, that was extremely moving. But Bernie Cohen went on to say that arguing and winning Loving versus Virginia was for him the high point of his life. And he said, "I'm so glad that it didn't stop here." The Freedom to Marry campaign is over, but the work of our movement, of our country, is far from done. And at this high point in life, we must all commit that it won't stop here. So please join me and my team in a toast, metaphorical and otherwise, to the freedom to marry and to continuing to work for a more perfect union for everyone. Mazel tov.